Go into the world and tell every man that you meet, there is a man on the cross.
A Catholic Take. What you need to know right now. A bold synthesis of inspiration and information. Keeping you up to date on the news and issues from a courageous Catholic perspective.
A Catholic Take with Joe McLean starts now.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take. Bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McLean. It's great to be on with you. A good morning, by the way. Thursday of the Fund Drive week here at the Station of the Cross, where we come to you and ask for your financial and prayerful support for our apostolate, our radio waves that hit 20-some stations, millions of potential souls that could be saved through just the power of radio, let alone our podcast feed, which has some 5 million downloads, or our video feeds on Facebook or YouTube or other places, hundreds of thousands of views there, iCatholic radio app, iCatholic music app. You make it possible. All of the work, all of the accomplishment, you get the credit. 877-711-8500. Would you make that first contribution this hour? Get us started. We have another $10,000 challenge gift. We have some donors that are like, we like to see that activity. We like to see the excitement. We like to see the phone lines blow up. We love to see and really fan the flame of your generosity. So we have another challenge gift today, $10,000. If we can hit $10,000 in this hour, someone's standing by to give us an additional $10,000. It's a power hour, and we want your help to get there. 877-711-8500. Every dollar counts. Your hard-earned money goes a long way today. 877-711-8500 for that first phone call today. 877-711-8500. Our Lady of Revelation. I am excited. You know, on Monday, I told you the story of Bartolo Longo, whose feast day it is today. Well, today I want to tell you the story of Bruno Cornicchiola, a man who was directly impacted by the yes of Bartolo Longo. Our Lady of Pompeii had a deep and profound impact on Bruno Cornicchiola, and I want to tell you about that at 15 past the hour. Brent Haynes, attorney and Catholic freedom fighter, is on at 30 past the hour. He wants to talk about McCarthy being ousted. It is a historic first to have the Speaker of the House ousted. What's going to happen next? Brent Haynes will weigh in on that at 30 past the hour, so stick around for that. Again, that phone number in this $10,000 power hour, if we hit 10, we get an extra 10, 877-711-8500. One more time on that phone number, 877-711-8500. Let's ask Our Lady to intercede for the need, because we do have a need, a financial need to operate this apostolate, to grow, not just survive. No. We have big plans. Big plans. We want to shine the light into the darkness, and you make it possible at 877-711-8500. Let's pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And now your saint of the day.
Blessed Bartolo Longo, pray for us. Bartolo Longo was born in 1841 in southern Italy. His family was rather wealthy, and Bartolo received an excellent education. He was naturally talented in music and other arts, but his studies proved dangerous to his soul. Though his family was pious and prayed the Holy Rosary together every night, Bartolo drifted away from the faith at the University of Naples, especially after the death of his mother and under the teaching of an apostate priest. Italian nationalism at the time was led by outspoken anti-Catholics, Freemasons, and even Satanists, and Bartolo was swept up in the fervor to the point that he dabbled in the occult, which swiftly developed into outright Satanism and Bartolo's ordination as a satanic priest. He convinced many fellow Catholics to join him in his apostasy, but suffered from mental disorders and demonic oppression, and eventually had a nervous breakdown. A professor friend, Vincenzo Pepe, convinced Bartolo to speak to a Dominican priest, Father Alberto, who guided Bartolo back to the faith. This guidance, and a mystical experience that saved Bartolo from suicidal despair, converted the former Satanist into a fervent promoter of the Holy Rosary and a Dominican tertiary with the name Fratel Rosario, or Brother Rosary. Bartolo established a shrine to Our Lady of the Rosary in Pompeii, which eventually became a basilica and a major site of pilgrimage and miracles under the title of Our Lady of Pompeii. He married the widowed Countess Mariana in 1885 in a Josephite marriage, and together they established numerous charitable ventures around Pompeii. Bartolo Longo died of pneumonia in 1926 and was beatified in 1980 by Pope St. John Paul II. Blessed Bartolo Longo, pray for us.
And now your headline news. Just the News reports federal court says executive branch agencies violated the First Amendment, barred from coercing social media. The U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that several executive branch agencies, including the White House, the FBI, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, likely violated the First Amendment by coordinating with social media companies to censor online content and then ordered the agencies to stop directing online platforms to remove or suppress content. CNA reports St. Peter's Basilica to offer nightly Eucharistic adoration during Synod on Synodality. The Vatican announced October the 4th that St. Peter's Basilica will hold an additional hour of adoration in the Chapel of the Blessed Sacrament from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on weekdays to offer the Synod delegates and the faithful the chance to pray during the 16th Ordinary Synod of Bishops. The Basilica will also host weekly candlelight rosary processions at 9 p.m. each Saturday of the month of October, the month of the Holy Rosary. Cardinal Mario Grech, the General Secretary of the Synod, will preside over the month's first candlelight rosary procession, October the 7th, the Feast of the Holy Rosary, or Our Lady of Victory. Ground News reports Amazon made $1 billion with secret algorithm for spiking prices internet-wide. Amazon's algorithm, codenamed Project Nessie, allegedly generated over $1 billion in revenue and led competitors to raise prices, according to sources. The algorithm aimed to deter other online stores from offering lower prices, tracked competitors' prices, and adjusted Amazon's prices accordingly. While Amazon officially stopped using Project Nessie in 2019, other pricing, say more advanced pricing algorithms, may still be in use. And those are your headline news. I mean, duh, of course they're using these algorithms to manipulate us. Anyway, the gospel today comes to us from Luke chapter 10, verses 1 through 12. Jesus appointed 72 other disciples, whom he sent ahead of him in pairs to every town and place he intended to visit. He said to them, "The harvest is abundant, but the laborers are few. So ask the master of the harvest to send out laborers for his harvest. Go on your way. Behold, I am sending you like lambs among wolves. Carry no money bag, no sack, no sandals, and greet no one along the way. Into whatever house you enter, first say, 'Peace to this household.' If a peaceful person lives there, your peace will rest upon him. But if not, it will return to you. Stay in the same house and eat and drink what is offered to you, for the laborer deserves his payment. Do not move about from one house to another. Whatever town you enter, and they welcome you, eat what is set before you, cure their sick in it, and say to them, 'The kingdom of God is at hand for you.' Whatever town you enter, and they do not receive you, go out into the streets and say, 'The dust of your town that clings to our feet, even that we shake off against you. Yet know this, the kingdom of God is at hand. I tell you, it will be more tolerable for Sodom on that day than for that town.'" The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. A Catholic commentary on Holy Scripture today had this to say: the absorbing thought of the preacher must be his mission. He must have the appearance of a man on a most urgent journey, looking neither to the right nor left. Their message is urgent indeed. The kingdom of God hath come near. The proclamation with which Jesus begins his preaching in Mark 1:15, in that day, in the day of judgment, in Matthew's parallel of 10:15, understood of the great messianic day when God shall appear to vindicate his rights. We're talking about the day of judgment. This is the warning being given. Could you imagine the Lord saying to you, the kingdom of God is at hand, and then warning you of the great judgment, your eternal destiny being judged? The time of mercy is going to come to an end, and the time of judgment will come. The Ignatius Catholic Study Bible says Jesus patterns his missionary effort on Moses, who commissioned 70 elders to be prophets in Israel. The 71 members of the Jewish court, the Sanhedrin, had already modeled itself after the leadership structure of Moses and the 70 elders. At another level, this number alludes to Genesis 10, which describes the origin of the 70 nations of the ancient world, not including Israel. The ministry of the 70 disciples thus anticipates the church's mission to the nations. The labor deserves his wages. Ministers of the gospel should be supported by the believing community. This allows them to pursue apostolic work with undivided attention. According to the Catholic tradition and canon law, Christians are obligated to contribute to the church from their earnings. These offerings help to support the clergy, provide for the necessities of liturgical worship, and equip the church to minister to the needy. Close quote, the Ignatius Catholic Study Bible. That's what we're doing today. We're asking you for your financial support, looking for your contribution towards this work of evangelization here at the Station of the Cross. Would you consider a contribution right now? 877-711-8500. Looking for my first gift this hour. Would it be you? Would you make that call? 877-711-8500. Please call now. Be right back.
I was raised Catholic, but then I got involved in the evangelical Christian movement. But I was in a position where I was questioning my faith and why are there so many different opposing teachings and where was the truth? I was searching, and I came to a point where I just didn't know what to believe anymore, and I never considered the Catholic faith. But on a Protestant station, I always listened to a certain program, and I pressed the button, and I accidentally pressed the wrong button. Unbeknownst to me, someone had keyed in the Catholic radio station, and they were talking about exactly my issue, that there were so many different opposing teachings. How could they all be true? And I never went back to the other station. I just continued to listen. And from there on in, I just was hungry. I wanted to learn more. And I started listening to Catholic radio, and I started studying the early church fathers as recommended on Catholic radio. And I just came to the point where I knew that I had to return to the Catholic faith a year later. And it was because I had accidentally pressed the wrong radio station. It happened to be Catholic radio. I was very thankful for Catholic radio, and that it led me to the fullness of truth. I've been back now for 4 years. It led me to have a hunger for studying the faith and knowing why the church teaches what it does, and not just accepting what people tell me, but I now wanted to study and see why the church teaches what it does.
I found Catholic radio about 4 years ago. I would say that I'm obsessed with it. I listen to it on my way to work. I listen to it when I pick up my son in the afternoon. I listen to it when I get to work. And I also listen to it 3 times in the middle of the night, usually. Sometimes I just have things on my mind, and just knowing that it's there just brings me comfort. A couple of weeks ago, I was going through something, and it was pretty late at night, obviously too late to call anybody, so I just grabbed my phone, and I turned on my Catholic radio, and Holy Hour was on. By the end of that hour, I was at peace, and I just love my Catholic radio. I like making donations so that I can keep Catholic radio on the air and hopefully touch other people as much as my Catholic radio has touched me.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McLean. So good to be on with you. Coming up at 30 past the hour, we have more breaking news and stories for you, of course. But attorney and Catholic freedom fighter Brent Haynes is back on the program today, and he is really chomping at the bit to talk about the Speaker McCarthy ousting. It's a historic thing. It's a big deal, and it's left Congress sort of in a turmoil. What are they going to do now? They really don't like those 7 Republicans. They got to look for a new guy. Jim Jordan's stepping up. I mean, Gingrich is blasting everybody. It's a fun time, and Brent Haynes is going to catch us up on all of that, but from a Catholic perspective, coming up at 30 past the hour. We are, of course, in the midst of our fall campaign, asking you for your financial contribution. I've got a $10,000 challenge gift on the table today, and these are powerful ways to move the needle super fast. And we do need your financial contribution. Without you, it is not possible. We are brought to you by you. We don't get checks from the diocese you live in. We don't get checks from the Vatican, of course not. So you are the wind in the sails, and we're asking for your financial contribution today at 877-711-8500. Would you make that call? Would you be join our team and help us to continue the work we're doing? If we can raise $10,000 in the next 45 minutes, we have a donor ready to give us an additional $10,000. That makes it a $20,000 power hour. And we really need it. I'm going to be honest with you. We absolutely need it. 877-711-8500. Might you consider a $1 a day gift? Be on the team every single day. When you wake up, you know you're on the team of evangelization. You're moving the needle today. 877-711-8500. We call that the mission partner level. We're going to send you that book from Thomas A. Kempis just to say thank you. But there's the benefactor level. That's $2 a day. And you're going to get that St. Gertrude prayer plaque from Nelson Woodcraft just to say thank you for your generous gift. But there's still a level above that, the Apostle Club level gift. And maybe, just maybe, this is something you can do. It's a $15.60 commitment. You can do it monthly. You can do it one time, your choice. But not only are we going to send you that custom crucifix from Italy at the sustainer level, the book from Thomas A. Kempis at the $1 a day mission partner level, or the St. Gertrude prayer plaque at the benefactor level, but we'll also send you an exquisite image of the church triumphant, the church militant, and the church suffering wrapped in the Trinity at Holy Mass. It's a wonderful image of Hebrews chapter 12, and you're going to love it. It'll be a beautiful addition to your home oratory, your chapel, or wherever you choose to hang it. It's going to inspire you and many others. 877-711-8500. But honestly, your hard-earned money is going to go a long way today, because if we can get that $10,000 done, we're going to get an additional $10,000. But we have to do it in the next 42 minutes. 877-711-8500. And I'm going to be honest, I'm 18 minutes into this hour, and I haven't I take it back. We're on the board. Praise be to God. We have started things off. Michael from Centerville, Virginia. First-time donor and on the board at $250. Michael, you're amazing. God bless you. And from Virginia, we love the fact that you're on the team. Michael, God bless you and God love you, my friend. We appreciate having you here. $9,750 to go. 877-711-8500. Now, I want to tell you a story. On Monday, you might remember, on Monday, I told you the story of Bartolo Longo, which, by the way, producer Jake just did a great job with the saint of the day, Bartolo Longo. But I want to tell you about Bruno Cornicchiola. This is one, I would argue, is a spiritual child of Bartolo Longo. When Bartolo Longo set up that chapel, the Valley of Pompeii, and he put up that image of Our Lady there, miracles immediately began to happen. And she appeared there. Our Lady appeared there to a young girl whom she healed. And Our Lady of Pompeii began to spread. Her devotion began to spread. Well, Bruno Cornicchiola, who was born in 1917, received the sacraments in 1927 after he had run away from home, was living on the streets of Rome and doing odd jobs. A woman who caught him sleeping on a park bench had mercy and pity on the boy and bribed him with a slice of pizza if he should go to Mass with her and begin to be formed and prepared for the sacraments, which he did. Once he received his first communion and confirmation on the same day, he decided to go home and reconcile with his mom and his dad, which he did. He tried, but his parents were pretty rough. His dad was a drunk and abusive, used to beat his mom and his siblings and him, which is why he ran away to begin with. His mom wasn't at all pleased to see him. In fact, she ends up kicking him down the stairs. He ends up turning his heart back to his old ways. and he throws his rosary and his missal book at his mom, and he runs off, doesn't look back. He leads a very streetwise, wayward life. He would end up joining the military service, and he would end up getting married. In fact, he ended up going to serve in Spain as a spy for the communists, believe it or not. But in 1935, he married Yolanda Legato, and they became pregnant in 36. He goes back to fight in Spain, and he ends up meeting a German soldier, Otto, the German soldier. Otto, the spiritual son of Martin Luther and John Calvin and all the rest. Otto tells Bruno Cornicchiola that all that Catholicism that he grew up with is bad. Not only is it bad, but he told Bruno that the Catholic Church was the synagogue of Satan, the beast of Revelation, and the Pope was the Antichrist. Well, Bruno bought all of this. He bought every single line, and he decided that it was his solemn duty to murder the Pope. So he bought a dagger, and he inscribed on the blade, "Death to the Pope," and he committed himself to preparing for the day when he would meet the Pope, in this case, it'd be Pope Pius XII, in the St. Peter's Square, where he would then be able to murder the Pope as an act of justice, as an act of giving service to God. That is exactly what he believed. By the way, we are trying to raise $10,000 this hour so that we can get an additional $10,000 to make it a $20,000 power hour, and I could really use your support. 877-711-8500 is that phone number, 877-711-8500. 877-711-8500. Patricia in Rochester, New York is on the board for $100, praying for the state of the world. Patricia, you're amazing. I'm glad you're on our side and on our team today. God bless you and God love you. Thank you for donating today. Please call now, 877-711-8500. Might you consider an Apostle Club level gift? I could use that right now. $15.60 would go a long way to helping us chip away at this $9,000 need right now. 877-711-8500. 877-711-8500 is that phone number. Please consider a financial contribution towards the Station of the Cross at 877-711-8500. Please call right now. So he gets married. He goes back to fight in Spain, and in 39 he returns back to his wife. Now, he turns out to be a chip off the old block. He's just like his dad. He likes to drink too much. He likes to beat his wife and his children, and he's having a hard time. But he's now thoroughly convinced that the church, the Catholic Church, is the false church, and he is determined to take his family out of the church. And so he starts to attend a Baptist church, but his wife challenges him, like all good spouses ought to. She challenges him. She says to him, because he wants to pull him out, she says, "I will follow you if you can show me that the Catholic Church is false. For the next 9 months, why don't you practice the First Friday's devotion by going to confession and receiving Holy Communion? If at the end of that you still want to keep with your choice, I will follow you. However, if the Lord somehow makes you change your mind, you will return to the Catholic Church," close quote. Yolanda, his wife. That was very almost prophetic, I would argue, in some ways. In 43, after going through the 9 First Fridays, he does, in fact, take the family out of the Catholic Church. They become Baptist. In fact, they go through a full immersion baptism again, which is, that's a big problem. You can only be baptized once. And in 1945, he joins the Seventh-day Adventist. And he becomes the director of the Adventist Youth Mission in the Lazao region. But everything would change when on April the 12th, 1947, Bruno was going to prepare to preach openly against the Catholic Church. There was going to be a Marian procession, and he wanted to lambast not only Our Lady, the Virgin of Heaven, the mother of the Savior, Jesus Christ, but also every Catholic in procession. He planned to be like that guy with the bullhorn and get out there and just start screaming and yelling at them and telling them they're all going to go to hell and all of that. So he wanted to prepare his speech. And so he took his kids, and they went off to Tre Fontane, and there was a park area there, and there was a grotto. And in this grotto, where many mortal sins had been committed, many sexual perversions, occult practices, abortions, and others had been committed on that dirt. And Our Lady had appeared there once before to another lady, many years before, who was told to take a message to St. Peter's Square, and there she would meet someone who would tell the future Pope Pius XII about what was coming. It'd be very fortuitous. But on this day, April the 12th, 1947, Bruno takes his kids to this very spot. They start playing with the soccer ball, or the football, as they say in Italy. And Bruno begins to do his homework, preparing his speech, opening his Bible, and getting ready to just give these Catholics the what for. When he starts to see his kids act very strangely at the mouth of this grotto, he sees his kids on their knees saying, "Beautiful lady, beautiful lady, beautiful lady." This freaks Bruno out. He gets up, he runs to the grotto, and he begins to shout at them, "Get up, what are you doing?" And they won't budge. And they just continue to look into this grotto, praying on their knees, "Beautiful lady, beautiful lady." He tries to pick them up physically. He cannot budge. They're like stones that are immovable, boulders. He's unable to move his children physically whatsoever. He runs into the grotto, fearing it being the devil, and he begins to try to cast out this devil. But instead of seeing the devil, he sees instead Our Lady coming through the back wall, dressed in a green mantilla and with a white gown. And she begins to speak to Bruno for a solid hour, between 4 and 5 o'clock on April the 12th, 1947. She speaks to him of many things. She converts him back to the true faith. She chastises him for leaving the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church and joining the Protestant sect. She chastises him for the life that he's lived. She chastises him for the choices he made. And she warns him of the coming apostasy and tribulation at the hands of so many corrupt clergy who have abandoned the Holy Mother Church and led others astray. She warns him of the coming tribulation, the persecution, as a result to the lack of the faithful who do penance and turn their hearts back to God. And it's all detailed in this book called Three Fountains, which, by the way, I'm going to interview this author in Rome at the end of the month, where I'm going to be, and myself and the team at the Station of the Cross are producing a documentary film on the Great Apostasy, the End Times, Our Lady of Revelation. And at the end of this hour, one thing was made very clear to Bruno. Why him? Out of all the people, why him? Because every time he beat his wife would intercede on his behalf. His wife would pray to Our Lady of Pompeii, the fruit of Bartolo Longo. She would pray and ask for mercy for her husband, who was a brutalizing man. And Our Lady heard those pleas and came to her rescue and to his. And he spent the rest of his life proclaiming the good news of the Holy Catholic Church, the Rosary, the devotion to Our Lady. Would we spend our life in the same way? We need your financial contribution to do that at 877-711-8500. Would you contribute to the cause? We need your help. 877-711-8500.
I'm all the way here from Guam, small island in the Pacific. I'm also a teacher. All my teenage kids have smartphones, and one day I was just looking at my own smartphone wondering, how can I be closer to the Lord? As I was downloading all the apps, I look at Catholic radio, and each day as I listen, I notice I could still be closer to God through the electronics use of my smartphone. So that's how I would like to share to the world that, yes, through electronics, if it's the Lord's idea to inspire, you can still get closer to the Virgin Mary and the good Lord by listening and just living a peaceful life.
Catholic radio has just been a lifesaver for me. I still listen to it every day. I start my day with it. I listen to it all day long as much as I can. There's always people calling in with people who've lost children, and I love what everyone has to say and the advice of the Catholic Church and how to deal with suffering. It has given me the strength to get through the day and to get out of bed each morning. I am very grateful for it.
I've been listening to the Station of the Cross for about 7 years, since I saw it on a bumper sticker one day driving home from work. Then I listen all the time when I'm in the car or at home with my children. I think one of the things that I've liked so much is that although I was raised Catholic, I really started to learn a lot more about my faith when I was in my 30s. So listening to the Station of the Cross has definitely deepened that relationship and has made me more able to talk about why I believe the things that I believe as a Catholic. It's just been a wonderful spiritual gift for myself. And so often when I turn on the radio each day, I hear something that speaks directly to a struggle that I might be having or a situation that might be going on at work or at home that I'm able to then address and deal with from a Catholic perspective and from a way that reminds me that I'm truly supported in my faith and in my belief in the Catholic Church and in God. So I thank you very much for your gift, and I will continue to listen.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClain, and the phone lines are wide open waiting for your phone call right now. 877-711-8500. Might you consider $1 a day? It would really help us out. 877-711-8500. And if we can reach $10,000 in the next 30 minutes, or we have a donor who's going to give us an additional $10,000. We really could use that. Your help to get there is needed right now at 877-711-8500. And now, your headline news. Ground News reports largest healthcare strike in U.S. history underway as 75,000 Kaiser workers walk off the job. About 75,000 healthcare workers have gone on a 3-day strike at Kaiser Permanente facilities across the U.S., demanding the hiring of 10,000 new healthcare workers. The strike is the largest work stoppage in the healthcare sector since 2018. The Blaze reports FCC issues first ever space debris fine. The Federal Communications Commission issued its first ever space debris fine, $150,000, on Monday against satellite television company Dish Network. According to a press release from the FCC, it reached a settlement with Dish following an investigation into the company's failure to properly deorbit its EchoStar 7 satellite. Dish broke the terms of its license when it relocated the satellite to a disposal orbit well below the elevation required by the terms of its license. The agency noted that the lower altitude could pose orbital debris concerns. And the Pillar reports Zen calls for Synod bishops to petition against the plan of manipulation. In a letter dated September the 21st, a copy of which was obtained by the Pillar, the 91-year-old emeritus bishop of Hong Kong told the bishops and cardinals that he is confounded by what he sees as a reinvention of the biblical concept of synodality by the event organizers. In a bid to promote teaching contrary to the faith, the cardinal urged bishops to champion true episcopal collegiality during the synodal process. In the 6-page text, Zen also expressed his even greater confusion and worry at what he perceives to be concerted effort to use the synod to establish democracy in place of the church's sacramental hierarchy as the means of establishing doctrine. And those are your headline news. Once again, we are trying to raise $10,000. I still need $9,650 to go in 28 minutes. The time is running out very quickly now. 877-711-8500. Perhaps you might consider, any gift, any size. Literally, just imagine if 20 or 30 people called in $25. That would mean a lot to us very quickly at 877-711-8500. Whatever you can do. Can you do $100 like Patricia did? That would be amazing to us. 877-711-8500. But if you can get on that monthly program, the mission partner, the sustainer, the benefactor, Apostle Club level gift, whatever you can do, it means a lot. But ultimately, it means that you're on the team every day for the work of evangelization. 877-711-8500. We've only received 2 calls so far this hour. We have a long way to go, and we're going to need your help to get there. If not you, then whom? Whom else will come to the rescue if you don't step up? Please do consider a gift right now at 877-711-8500. That phone number is 877-711-8500. Please call right now. Now, we have seen some historic fallout this week over in Congress, and attorney and Catholic freedom fighter Brent Haynes joins us to discuss what is going on in the Congress today. Brent Haynes, good morning to you. Thanks for being on.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everyone.
historic. McCarthy gets ousted. I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of fun to watch from the outside, but I bet chaos is reigning right now. What do you think, Brent?
Well, yeah, it's historic, and it's interesting in the way it's interesting to watch a train wreck. This is historic. It has never happened before in nearly, approximately 225 years in the history of the House of Representatives. About 230 years, maybe, for the history of the House. So, what happened? How did it happen? Why did it happen? The House of Representatives, of course, elects a speaker who is the presiding officer of that half of the United States Congress. The House is a body that has to reinstitute itself every 2 years, so they elect a speaker every 2 years. The Senate is what is called a continuing body, because they have senators that are always in office because they only elect 1/3 of their membership every 2 years. But every 2 years, the House gets together. They elect their speaker, and then, of course, the speaker appoints the people who are the chairmen of the committees and the subcommittees, and that is why the speaker's position is so critical. And most of all, the speaker determines the agenda for the House. The speaker determines what bills come up for a vote and what bills do not come up for a vote. So you could easily have a bill that has the support of the majority of the elected representatives of the United States in the House of Representatives, and if the speaker won't bring it up for a vote, it won't get a vote and get passed. So obviously, very important, powerful position. And remember, in January, there were 15 votes over the election of the Speaker of the House. Normally, there's just one vote. Normally, the party that is in the majority has their caucus. They meet privately. It's behind closed doors. They decide who their leaders are going to be. And then because they have a majority of the House of Representatives, when they convene as part of the full House with the other political party and any independent members, each side puts forth their nominees for an election, and of course the party that has the most votes wins. So the party with the majority wins. But remember, back in January, we talked about this. The Republicans did not elect a speaker on the first vote, didn't elect a speaker on the second vote, didn't elect a speaker on the third vote. It went 15 votes. Now, that was not historic. It was historic in the modern era. That had not happened in about 100 years. But there had been times before where there had been multiple votes for a speaker. Well, that entire time, of course, Kevin McCarthy, who was eventually elected speaker, was negotiating to get enough votes to be elected. And he was negotiating primarily with some of the more conservative members in the House of Representatives of the Republican Party, and especially members of the Freedom Caucus, but also people like Congressman Matt Gaetz from Florida, who reportedly, interestingly, is not a member of the Freedom Caucus. And there were a few others. And as the votes went along, McCarthy gained more and more support, but he had to get to that majority, that magic number of 218 out of the 435 members in the House to have a majority. Well, one of the concessions that McCarthy made to get elected was that he agreed that any member may file a motion to vacate the chair of the Speaker of the House or vacate the position of Speaker of the House. Just one member may bring that up for a vote. So he made that deal. And Speaker McCarthy had been leading the House and governing since January, so he'd been doing this for 9 months. And then that one member stepped forward, Matt Gaetz of Florida, who's made quite a name for himself, at least in conservative circles, and he filed a motion to vacate. And earlier this week, after debating the motion, the House of Representatives voted 216 to 210 to remove Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House. Now, the interesting thing there, of course, is it was the Democrats who really provided most of the votes, because it was 208 Democrats who voted to remove McCarthy, and only 8 Republicans voted to remove McCarthy. Only 8.
Hold that thought right there for a second, Brent. Hold that thought for. I just wanted to thank Teresa from Newfane, New York, on the board at $400. She's in at the mission partner level. Thank you very much for that, Teresa. We're going to send you not only the crucifix from Italy, but also the book from Thomas à Kempis, just to say thank you for your generosity this morning. You helped chip away at our goal this hour. We're trying to raise $10,000. I have 20 minutes on the clock to get this done. Only 20 minutes. $9,250 still to go. If we can raise all $10,000, it has to be 100% of $10,000 raised by you, then we have a donor who's going to give us an additional $10,000, matching your generosity and doubling your impact. But we don't get a penny of that other 10 unless we can raise 10 first. That phone number right now is 877-711-8500. Volunteers are standing by. We need those lines to light up. Can you be one of 3 calls? I mean, literally anything you can do is helpful. All hands are needed right now, and many hands make for light work. 877-711-8500. So maybe you're somebody who can only do $25. Call it in, 877-711-8500. Maybe you're somebody who can do the mission partner level like Teresa did, 877-711-8500. Maybe, just maybe, you're somebody who has a bit more capacity, and we're asking you to step up this morning and help us out. The Apostle Club level gift would be a fantastic place for you to be at 877-711-8500. That phone number is available to you right now, 877-711-8500. Would you be one of 3 calls right now? Any gift, any size, whatever you can do. I'm only asking for 3 calls, 877-711-8500. One more time, 877-711-8500. We're talking with attorney and Catholic freedom fighter Brent Haynes about this historic event that's happened this week with Speaker McCarthy being ousted. Seems like Matt Gaetz is not making a lot of friends. He's probably going to be kicked off a lot of Christmas cards list this week. Newt Gingrich, you might remember, Speaker Gingrich has been making the rounds this week on the news. He's lambasting the Gaetz crew, for being traitors to the Republican cause. But I got to be honest with you, it seems bizarre to me that that they would have problems with anybody who wants to see something actually change in D.C. Like, it seems like the establishment just wants everything to remain the same always and every time. Brent, what do you say?
Well, Joe, we already elected a speaker. We had this debate. We had this election. I sympathized with the conservatives who held out and demanded conservative concessions from McCarthy. They got a lot of good concessions. They got good conservative chairman of committees. Remember the Biden corruption investigation? That's because we have good conservatives leading those committees. Look, here's the deal. There are 435 members of Congress. It takes 218, maybe a couple of less votes when there are vacancies. Right now there are 2 vacancies. But it takes over 200 members of Congress to pass legislation. You are never going to make all 200 members happy on any piece of legislation. Politics, in that sense, is the art of the possible. It's a matter of practicality. It is not a question of going there and negotiating to compromise your principles, but it is a question of going there and working with other people to see how you can advance the policies and the principles that you were elected to advance and that you think ought to be advanced. But a small number of conservative Republicans have teamed up with Democrats to oust a Republican speaker. You never see the Democrats doing this. We have had even narrower majorities in the past under Republicans and even narrower majorities in the past under Democrats, and they managed to get legislation passed. They managed to hold together. But most of all, the Democrats are team players. This is why they govern more effectively than Republicans. But you've heard of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You've heard of the Squad. They create all kinds of problems for Nancy Pelosi. They create problems for Nancy Pelosi when she was Speaker, but they never tried to get her ousted as Speaker. And as a result, Democrats got through one piece of legislation after another that they wanted. They accomplished their policy goals because they understand that politics is a team sport, and they hang together and they work as a team.
Now,
with the
it seems like we're going to run out of time. I want to get your comment here. Jim Jordan put his name into the hat as Speaker. Scalise, I believe, is putting his name into the hat as Speaker. But Donald Trump may have signaled his willingness to serve as Speaker. Apparently, you don't have to be an elected member of Congress to get the job. What do you say, Brent Haynes?
You do not have to be an elected member of Congress to be Speaker of the House of Representatives. It's a unique provision in the United States Constitution. Donald Trump, of course, is busy campaigning for president. It simply is not practical for him to be Speaker of the House and be running for president. He needs to be out there campaigning for votes if he wants to be president, not to mention all of his court appearances that he is being put through. Jim Jordan is a former president of the House Freedom Caucus. He's been an excellent Judiciary Committee chairman. He's very popular. People will recognize him because he's the one who's always on TV in shirt sleeves. So maybe this will work out for the best, Joe. Maybe he will be elected and be a more effective, more conservative speaker. But remember, they've got to keep the moderates happy. Joe, I'll leave you with this thought. There are 18 Republican members of Congress critical to a Republican majority, and they come from districts that were won by President Joe Biden. We're not going to elect we are not going to elect our conservatives from districts won by Joe Biden. And we're not going to have a Republican majority. We've got to hold those moderate seats.
Brent Haynes, God bless you and God love you, my friend. I always appreciate your insight. But we're down to the wire. $9,000 still to go. Will we hit it? I don't know. We need your help. Call now, 877-711-8500.
I love listening to Catholic radio. I work out at the gym every morning, and I faithfully have my iPhone on and listen to your station. I wouldn't be without it. Thank you for all you do.
When I first started listening to the Station of the Cross, I was a traveling therapist, and I had 20 minutes in between each family that I visited with. I would listen to the radio during that time, and I was getting bored of listening to all the same songs over and over again. And that's when I saw a Catholic radio bumper sticker. And I thought, well, I should try that. I bet that would be more interesting to learn about my Catholic faith than it would be to listen to these same songs over and over again on the radio. And I was specifically looking for something Catholic because I knew that our Christian brothers and sisters didn't always look at things the same way we did, and I really was excited that I would have the chance to learn specifically about why we believe what we believe as Catholics. The Station of the Cross has had a huge impact in my life and my family's life. When I first started listening to the Station of the Cross, we had 2 children and 1 on the way, and thought that was quite enough for us. This August, we welcomed our 6th child into the world, and we're very happy to do that. I used to work full-time, and listening to the programs on the Station of the Cross made me realize how much God was calling me and our family to focus on growing our family and being a mom. So I now am a stay-home mom of 6 kids, and I homeschool all of them, and that would have never happened without the influence of God through the Station of the Cross, especially the Mother Angelica repeats. Everything in our life has changed. The way we look at everything, it just is through the lens of God versus through the lens of the world, and we've realized that's what God is calling us to do, even though that's not what the world is calling us to do. Thank you for everything.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClain. Great to be on with you. Praise be to God. Heaven is our home. That's the theme this week at this fun drive, where we come onto the air and we ask you for your financial support. Maybe you're listening to me and you've never given before. Can I just challenge you? Can I just, inspire you, incentivize you? What can I do to get you to get off the fence and join the team? We want you on our side, because with your help, amazing things can happen. We want you to be the wind in the sails of the work of evangelization that we are doing here at the Station of the Cross. That phone number is 877-711-8500. 877-711-8500. And we had some great news come through during the break, and I'm going to catch you up on all that right now. But here is the challenge. If I can raise $10,000 before the end of the hour, and that's what, 12 minutes on the clock now, just 12, 877-711-8500. If I can get to 10, we do have a donor who's prepared to give us an additional 10. Now, he won't give us a penny if, in fact, we don't hit 10. Got to hit 10, and then we get 10. It becomes a $20,000 hour. These are powerful needle movers. And I can tell you, it is an extraordinarily expensive proposition to run, own and operate 20 radio stations, own and operate all of this, have the staff, the facilities, the equipment, the skills, the resources, the necessity to be able to create and distribute content on a worldwide scale that helps to shine the light of Christ into the dark spaces. That is, stop being on the defensive and start going on the offensive. Take the war to the gates of hell and push on them for a while. That's what we're trying to do here, but we need your contribution to make that happen at 877-711-8500. Noreen, Webster, Texas is on the board at $25. I love that. Praise be to God. Could you just imagine if, 25, 35, 45, 55 Noreen, listeners called in $25 one time? I mean, amazing things happen very quick when we all come together and do what we can. Paul, Atlanta, Georgia. Georgia is on the board at $25. Paul, you're amazing. Paul, I'm glad you're on our side. God bless you. Thank you for calling in. Timothy. Big gift, Timothy. $15.60. Timothy. First-time donor, and he's in at the Apostle Club level gift. Timothy, you're amazing. You took a chunk out of the goal, and with so little time on the board now, 11 minutes to go. Love hearing that phone line ring. We need $7,640 is the need. 877-711-8500. If we can get another Apostle Club level gift, that would go a long way right now. So, again, the deal here is I have 9 minutes on the clock to raise $7,640. What that means is, my dear listener, if you could call in your gift, whatever size that is, the size of your gift is not as important as your yes. It's saying, yes, I want to be on the team. Yes, I want to be about the work of evangelization. I want to make sure that my hard-earned money is being used in a way that does impact many souls. And I got to tell you, 20 radio stations, a potential listening audience of millions, potentially through Metro Boston and New York and Ohio and Pennsylvania. But you're like, Joe, I don't live in those places. Yeah, but you can evangelize in those places, can't you? Yes, you can. 877-711-8500. But you know what? We don't stop there. We have a podcast. We have a podcast directory, which you can find on the website, thestationofthecross.com, or on the iCatholic Radio app. You can download it in your iOS or Android app store today. That podcast feed has gotten some 5 million downloads. 5 million. That's a lot of people being impacted because you said yes and decided to evangelize the world. But it doesn't stop there. No, we still have the iCatholic Radio mobile app, which live streams our radio content 24/7 around the world. But we also live stream the video there when we're live on video. We have our podcast feed there. You can get programming information. And I got to tell you, I'm working on this right now in the back end. We're about to roll out a social feed opportunity inside the mobile app so we can communicate, because we have a wonderful insider group on Telegram on this show. Just every day, Kathleen, Sharon, Yvonne, Mike, Damon, Todd, Jake, and there's so many people hanging out all the time, 24/7, sharing their faith, sharing their life, sharing their passions, sharing their opinions right here in this community. And we're about to integrate that into the iCatholic Radio mobile app, which is heard by listeners around the world. Maybe you listen via iCatholic Radio. Would you consider a gift right now? 877-711-8500. If you love iCatholic Radio, if it's a part of your daily life and how you listen, would you consider making a gift to contribute towards the cause? 877-711-8500. 877-711-8500. $7,640 still to go. I'm going to need your help. But it doesn't stop there. We still have iCatholic Music app that we also stream. We're the only organization on planet Earth that I'm aware of that has a 24/7 stream of praise worship music by only Catholic artists. It's called iCatholic Music. We don't support Protestant artists. We support Catholics. And we do that 24/7 through our iCatholic Music app, which you can download for free and listen for free 24/7. We're the only ones to do that, but you make it possible to continue to do that at 877-711-8500. 877-711-8500, like Joan in Arlington, Massachusetts. On the team, Joan. You're on the team today at $100. God bless you. Thank you for doing that. That phone line is open, and frankly, with 7 minutes on the clock and $7,000 still to raise, I need your help, and I need it right now. Whatever you can do. Maybe you're like Joan. You can do $100. Call it in. Don't wait. We need you now. 877-711-8500. If in 7 minutes from now, 6 minutes from now, I can reach $7,500, we have a donor who's going to give us an additional $10,000. Now, they won't give us that money if we don't hit this goal. So if we miss it, we lose it. That's the deal. 877-711-8500. But it doesn't stop there. We have our radio stations. We have our ICR. We have our podcast. We have our video content too. The production team at the Station of the Cross is doing amazing work, taking the content that we produce on A Catholic Take, on Mother Miriam Live, Ask a Priest Live, The Simple Truth, Father Mateg, and repurposing this content in a myriad of ways to include video content that is being put out daily, essentially. I mean, to the tune of 2.7 million views just recently. Hundreds of thousands of people being impacted through our video work all over the world. And we're about to roll out the video documentary portion of our apostolate with the iCatholic Radio film brand, that we're going to be doing a documentary film on Tre Fontane, on the Our Lady of Revelation, the Great Apostasy. Many people are asking the question today, are we on the verge of the Great Apostasy? They see what's going on in the church, the confusion, the chaos in the world around them, and they're asking themselves the question. So we're going to have that conversation in documentary form. I'm going to Rome to interview prelates in the church, big thinkers, big influencers of our day, and to even tell you the story of Bruno Cornicchiola and the link between Peter and Paul, the book of Daniel, and the third secret of Fatima. That's all coming in a documentary film later this year, but we can't do that if we don't have the financial resources to bring you that content. And so we need $7,490 with less than 5 minutes to go. 877-711-8500. Like Catherine, Rochester, New York, asked for prayers for her family. $50. Catherine, you are on the team. And we could not be thankful enough for your generosity this morning. Marianne, Phoenix, New York, on the board for $500. Praise be to God. Appreciate the news part of the program. Marianne, you're amazing. And a first-time donor, too. On the board, you're on our team. Marianne, am I ever glad that you're on our side? Praise be to God. 877-711-8500. $7,000 to go with less than 4 minutes on the clock. We've only received, I want you to let this sink in for a second. We've only received 9 calls so far this hour. That is all. 9 calls. That makes 10. That call right there is 10. Would you be one of 10 more calls? Can we not get to 20? I mean, I just still think of the Lord's words when he said, when he healed the 10 and only 1 returned. Where are the other 9? That's exactly my question. Where are the other 9? We're not all 10 healed? 877-711-8500. 877-711-8500. $7,000 is the need. I have 3 minutes on the clock to get that done. If I can raise the 7 in the next 3 minutes, someone's going to give us an additional 10. That is a big deal to us. We really need it. We really would love for your help to get there. So it's really whatever you can do. 877-711-8500. Maybe you're like a Marianne and you can do 500, or a Catherine that can do 50, or a Joan that can do 100, or a Timothy that came in huge at 1560, praise be to God, or a Paul that did 25, Noreen did 25, Teresa did 400, Patricia did 100, and Michael did 250. Whatever's on your heart, whatever you can do, I need it, and I need it right now. Like Dennis, Niagara Falls, New York, on the team for $100. I'm glad you are here, Dennis. Thank you so much for doing it. We really needed your help, and you stepped up. God bless you, Dennis. 877, 2 minutes to go here. 877-711-8500. That's the phone number. 877-711-8500. 6,890 to be precise is still needed with now less than 120 seconds on the clock. So if you're not hearing the phone lines ring, only 10 people have called in so far this hour. I'm grateful for those 10. Those 10 are amazing. All right, so that's another call right there. Where are the other 9? Would you please call now? Whatever your gift size is, imagine the phone lines blowing up because everybody's contributing something. The widow's mite is powerful. 877-711-8500. But perhaps at least one of you might consider another Apostle Club level gift, because we need a big mover right now to really get this goal done. $6,890 with just over a minute to go, and then we are out of time. We will have lost the opportunity at the extra 10 if we don't hit this. 877-711-8500. Are we about to leave 10 grand sitting on the table? Are we about to do that? Seriously? We need your help. We could use it right now. Might you consider $1 a day? Might you consider $2 a day? Might you consider the Apostle Club level gift? It would mean everything to us if you would fund our apostolate and provide for the need, because the world is getting darker and we want to shine the light of Christ into it as far and as wide and as has the most impact as possible. But I can tell you that without your financial contribution, there's no way. You are the wind in the sails, and I need $7,000. Would you help me? 877-711-8500. Please call right now, 877-711-8500. 877-711-8500. Please call right now, 877-711-8500. 877-711-8500.